Hi friends, it's Hannah, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, I'm going to be making a black and white checked and striped Mackenzie Childs inspired urn. These urns are between $200 and $600 depending on their size, and I'm making mine from a $14.99 plastic urn that I bought at the home store. And our urn is going to cost under $20. To begin with, I spray painted a base coat onto the urn and gave it 2 coats of white spray paint. Once the paint was dry, I used a black fine tip Sharpie and I literally covered every indentation all along the entire urn. The first thing that I did was to use the Sharpie and to go into each long groove in the largest part of the center of the urn. After I was done with that, I filled in the indentations along the top of the middle portion and along the bottom of the middle portion with the Sharpie. And after I was finished with that, I used masking tape and aligned it evenly with the top portion of the scallops and pressed on the bottom so that it lined up straight all around the urn. And after that, I just laid it on its side and using the same fine tip Sharpie, I made a line all along underneath the masking tape. And this is what we're using to get perfect squares on our piece. After I'm finished adding the lines, I add a second piece of masking tape and I repeat the same process. I just carefully go along the bottom of the tape with the Sharpie and make a line all the way around. And finally, I add the third and last piece of masking tape and I make sure to burnish the bottom edges with my thumb so that it's completely straight across the bottom. And then once again, using my Sharpie, I carefully go along the bottom edge of the tape and add the lines. After I'm finished, I remove the tape and we're left with perfect squares. I use Craft Smart black acrylic paint from Michaels and I fill in every other square on each row with a flat, thin paintbrush. I really take my time doing this, but actually it's very easy. This is almost like paint by numbers. You have everything already drawn out for you, and all you have to do is be careful and stay within the lines. So when you're painting, use a smaller brush that's flat and take your time to stay within the edges. And after I had done the second row, I placed a dab of paint on every other square just to make sure that I didn't get mixed up and fill in a square that was not supposed to be painted. And I continued on the third row, just taking my time, painting and carefully filling in all of the paint from one edge to another and making sure not to go outside the lines. And I continued this until the entire center of the urn was painted. I don't know how you feel about painting, but I absolutely love to paint. It is one of my most favorite craft forms to do. I think that it's so relaxing and I get such a sense of fulfillment of painting something and stepping back and seeing my handiwork. It really is such a great feeling. After I have completely painted all of the squares, I go back in and I make sure that all of the lines are straight and that I fix any little imperfections that there might be. And I also add a second coat of black paint to get complete coverage. Once I'm satisfied that there are no longer any imperfections and I have good coverage, I take a very small, thin, fine paintbrush and I go over the scalloped edges all along the top of the centerpiece. And when that's done, I take the magic marker, the sharpie, and I go around another one of the crevices, and then I go in with black paint to make a border. Remember, I go into every crevice with the magic marker with the black fine tip sharpie, and I go in and add black paint in between on the top where I have placed the lines, and I go over it a second time just to cover any imperfections. And once I'm happy that all the lines are filled in and there's no more imperfections, I give a final second coat to the top of the urn. And this urn is really starting to look beautiful. I'm absolutely loving the outcome. I next go to the bottom of the urn and I go into all the indentations with the fine tip Sharpie, and after I have drawn all of the lines, I fill them in with black acrylic paint, and I do the same thing as I did with the checks. I fill in every other line, and then I go along the border at the base of where the indentation is, and I add a line with the Sharpie and I make a border with the paintbrush. And once I have gone over it and filled in any imperfections, I also give a second coat of paint for complete coverage on the bottom of the urn. And finally, I fill in the last groove on the bottom with the Sharpie, and using my thin flat paintbrush, I give the bottom rim a coat of black. And once it's done, I cover any imperfections and give it a second coat of paint. One of the best things about having a completely black and white urn is that it fits in beautifully with every season, winter, spring, summer, or fall. You can't go wrong with any colors. And I decided to add some fall-looking florals into the urn. So I used long picks of pomegranates and pears, and then I chose some mums and other florals in a beautiful golden hue, and I made a floral arrangement, and I absolutely love the way that it looks. Thank you so much for watching. I so enjoyed making this project for you, and I hope that it inspires you to make something beautiful. If you enjoyed the video, please share it with your friends, like and subscribe, and hit the notification button, and you'll be notified next time that I make a video. If you notice on either side of the urn, there are 2 pieces of fabric wall art and 2 painted finials. Here's a before and after piece, but unfortunately this was before I started doing tutorials, but the Fabric Fusion wall art is posted. Here's another look at the before and after transformation of this urn. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.